Welcome once again to Superhero Stuff You Should Know. A change of pace, we are switching over to Spider-Man. This is Spider-Ben, and with me is...
The name, Andrew, and will you say my name for me, please, dude?
Web Splooge.
Bush, thank you.
Yes.
We're here, everybody.
So yes, Web Splooge and I will dive into the concept art for the 2002 Spider-Man movie. Probably one of my favorite, if we count Marvel as everything that's an adaptation of a Marvel character, not just MCU studios, one of my favorite Marvel movies.
Oh, yeah. Dude, if it's a Marvel, it doesn't have to be MCU to be Marvel movie. Blade's a Marvel movie. That's fine.
Yep.
There's MCU and there's Marvel.
Movies like this one, whether it's Blade or Spider-Man 2002, they needed to exist in order for us to get an MCU in the first place. So... This is definitely one of the ones that create the building blocks, and some would say it has not been topped in live action in terms of this interpretation. So
Who
we
would
will
have
dive
thought
into
Stan Lee's metaphors on puberty would have gone this far?
Indeed, but they did.
They did.
Especially the web splooge part.
The web splooge part went quite a ways.
Indeed.
Got the distance.
So I guess before we start, I know that we wanted to dedicate this to a certain somebody.
Yes.
For those who might have been with us for a while on the show around 2020 or so, we were pretty much helping to promote the GoFundMe for one of our fans. I believe he's the first fan of SuperHouse. Am I correct on that?
He was... So
or one of the
first. SuperHouse was the podcast before we rebranded to what it is now, Superhero Stuff You Should Know. Mm-hmm. There were other co-hosts at the time. I've probably mentioned to you. There two. Well, Ben knows them, but to the audience, Maddie and Joey and everybody, and Steph and everyone who became Wolfie. Anyway, there was a previous version of this show, and he really caught on early to that version of it, and he did stay on to the incarnation that it is now. But he was like the first actual fan that I think listened to every episode. I think we had random people we didn't know, but also Matt Herring was from the town over from where I went to high school. And I actually didn't know him growing up. I met him via the podcast and via Facebook. After I was already living in LA. So, but we did meet up in person, I think twice, and we did go to the local comic shop together also.
That's awesome.
And we had beers and stuff, not at the comic shop, but after that. And, we had a good time. And, recently he passed away after he lost his battle with cancer. So there's that. And it's just sad, man, It is sad.
Yes. Unfortunately, I don't think I really got to talk to him. But he was definitely somebody who I remembered as a fan of the show for a while. And, it's unfortunate to hear the news on that. So we would like to dedicate this episode to him.
Yes, we'll dedicate to him. And also, he is on a couple episodes. I think when we reviewed a couple Game of Thrones episodes way back.
I think he was also on I remember I listened to the one where he was on about The Last Jedi, and that was fun.
Yes, that's correct. So, yeah, he was actually on the show as well. And, we just dedicated it to him. And we had a GoFundMe for him for a while as well on the show. It just, it just sucks, man, because he was in remission, he was good, and then it came back, and it's just awful.
Yeah. Well, our hearts go out to him and his family as well, of course. So,
yes.
Thank you, Matt, wherever you are, for supporting the show, and this episode is for you, my friend.
Yes, thank you.
So, let's go on to the concept art that we have. Most of the concept art we have for this is on the main two characters who have costumes in this, who are going to be Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. And with Spider-Man, there's only so many different variations you can do with that iconic costume. But the Green Goblin is where I think a lot of the viewers are going to be here for, because there's a ton of different variations on Goblin before they settled on what we got in the movie.
Okay.
And I'm sure many of you have seen versions of this out there, but we're compiling pretty much, Dan, or I should say, by we I mean Dan, our assistant Dan, who compiles all the stuff, is the one who found all this. So the first batch we're going to go over comes from Warren Manser, and Warren Manser, if that name sounds familiar, he also worked on Man of Steel and the Snyder stuff. So this guy's been in the game for a while, similar to one of our esteemed guests, Tim Flattery, who also, by the way, worked on Spider-Man 2. So, if we continue, maybe we'll see what stories he has from that movie when we keep going with these. So, this is an early Spider-Man costume concept. I thought this was a little interesting because the webbing is a little bit more, it sort of blends in more as opposed to the one in the movie where it's more like silver and is like very, it's like an elevated webbing in the movie as opposed to this one where it's more, kind of like blends in a little more and it looks more like he's got a black and red suit as opposed to a blue and red suit. So that's interesting to me.
Yes, this is literally just red on black paper, maybe with a little bit of white for the eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
It's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I would. For a first outing though, I think I guess you gotta go kind of standard. But this is a really cool kind of alternate design.
Yeah, I mean, this is still early 2000s, so we're still in the era where like they were kind of still a little shy about going full comic booky. So it's kind of like this is still really, really faithful compared to what we would get in other variations of stuff around this period of time, but not nearly as faithful as what we got in the final movie, which did have the same color scheme.
Right.
Now the blue is a little bit more like grayish in this one, and then similar thing to what I've criticized with bat suits before, like the spider on his chest, you can't even see it on this version.
Does he even have it?
He does have it. It's just very hard to see. Like I got to blow it up on my screen in order to see it, but it is there. It's more visible on the back because it's a red spider on the blue and gray, or it looks kind of grayish to me, honestly.
It's just funny, man, because it's like you got a guy in a spider suit, it's red and blue, bluish gray, but they're like, I don't know about that spider symbol on the front. That seems silly to me.
Everything else is good.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But yeah, this is kind of the era that this was originated in, and it's always kind of fun to look at what they were thinking of. Here's the first Green Goblin that we're going over from Warren Manser. This is a different type of take than what we got in the movie. Just overall, not just in the mask. Notice the armor is a little scaly. We have an incorporation of the Green Goblin's sort of like purple hood thing, which we don't get really in the movie.
Right.
But similar to what we do have in the movie is the fact that the mask is kind of more of a stationary mask. Because the problem with adapting Green Goblin compared to, say, some of the other characters is that it's supposed to be a mask, but it's a mask that is still like an expressive face. So like it still has to move. If you go full faithful to the comics, it still has to sort of move in the same way. And I think that's what they were playing around with. And of course, by the time you get to No Way Home, they're just like, well, why are we obscuring Willem Dafoe's face when we're just going to have him do those scary ass expressions himself and act the shit out of that movie? Yeah. So maybe that's what they should have done for this one. But this is what they have for this is Warren Manser's take on the Goblin mask, which you can kind of see how this evolves into what we get in the movie. We got the teeth, we got his eyes poking through those eye holes, and I don't know, there's something also a little bit, maybe it's just the lines around the eyes that feel a little samurai-ish, but maybe that's just me.
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking it looks like a European-style goblin more, like a gargoyle type.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, though? The teeth, it does look a little bit samurai.
There's
samurai
this
demon
mix of
masks.
both. Yeah, there's both Eastern and Western influences in this.
Yeah.
Oh, and let's not forget the ears. Like we have the pointy ears as well. They're very prominent in this too. So
I like this.
Interesting, cool.
This is pretty cool art.
Yeah, this is closer to the overall aesthetic in the comic than what we got in the movie. Even though it's not quite the same as in the comic, but it's always difficult when it comes to something that's that's that. It's similar to what we talked about with the Batman Beyond mask. It was just like, well, how would you pull that off in live action? It would have to look super techy. Or the other way is just a guy in blackface, which is not going to fly. So it would just it would need to look super techy in some way.
Yes.
Let's see. This is a little bit more pared down, a little bit less of the lines on this, and not the purple, but you do kind of get the similar silhouette as we get in the mask in the movie, where it kind of has that big, like, instead of the purple hood, it almost forms like this big cone in the back of his head, or big horn on the back of his head, or something like that. So, and the eyes look a little bit closer to what we got in the movie, where it's just the full, like the eyes are completely covered, which changes out whenever he has the lens go up.
Right. This is fine, but I think I like the other one more, to be honest with you.
Me too. Yeah, this is a little closer to what we got in the movie, but this one, yeah,
cool.
I agree with you. I like this too.
Yeah.
Moving further, we get something that's closer to what we got in the movie, with the back of it now fully actually painted purple for that horn. Now that I see it here, it does kind of look a little bit. I mean, it looks more comic booky than what we got in the movie because of the fact you've got that purple there, and it kind of explains a little bit more about that thing in the back. The way that this mask opens up, though, is unique to this concept art. I don't think it was meant to do that in the movie, since it was meant to be more of just a formal mask that he slipped over his head. But this is kind of cool. Kind of feels a little bit foreshadowing of what we would end up seeing with a lot of different, Iron Man-esque evolving into nanotech suits that we now have in the MCU and stuff. So it feels like this is a little bit ahead of its time.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, if it opened up like that in the movie, that's just cool. I think that horn is just trying to evoke the hood.
Yeah,
it's a but it's not a hood. It's just a back head of the back head horn, really.
Yeah, which is kind of how it looks in the movie.
It's okay. Yeah, I don't mind it. I still think the first one's best.
Yeah, no, me too. So we get pretty close to what we would end up with the movie, with him on the glider with the pumpkin bomb. His eyes glowing green in this, which is fun. Moving further, this is kind of cool. This is a little bit closer to the comic book aesthetic in terms of the clothes he's wearing over it. You can kind of see draping behind him as he's riding on the glider, and very creepy as he's going forward in this bridge sequence.
Yeah, I like it. I like that one. That's good too.
Yeah, this one's cool. It's got the purple mixed in, because again, they're still playing around with like how much purple do we add in. Turns out they don't add any of it, at least in this version. They tried to add it more into the No Way Home version when Defoe came back, but this one. The funny thing about this is the purse he's carrying, which at first I'm just like, well, that's because he stole it off somebody. But then I realized, well, this is Norman Osborn. He's probably not purse snatching. That's actually probably where he hides the pumpkin bombs in this in the intended version of this. But at first it just looks like he stole a purse off somebody, off Aunt May or somebody. But he doesn't really need the money.
Right.
Spider-Man versus Green Goblin. The suit looks over-designed in this case, in this version a little bit. Not as over-designed as modern designs would go, but compared to what we've seen before, it's a lot more techie with the armor. Or maybe not techie, but it's a little bit of a mix of the medieval. Maybe it's just the way that it's lit here, too, where all I see are just a lot of lines on the body.
It seems to evoke very, like, European shit again. Just like the European... like the knights and shit. I don't know. I normally wouldn't like it too much, but
the more I look at it, actually,
the fact that it's so knighty, it's I almost want to give it a pass, especially if it had that the first mask that we saw in combination with this. I don't know. I have to see another rendering.
Yeah, or something where the lighting's a little better, because at first it looked dark and I just see a bunch of lines and I just think, okay, it's too much. But then I looked again and I'm just like, you know what? On a different angle or something that's better lit, it might actually look pretty cool.
It's interesting that they really were going for like a super, at least for a while, like a very European style thing. Mm-hmm. with that first picture, and now you see this armor, and look at the boots too. These
Yeah.
Like, the top of the boot near the knee here, so pointy.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that reads kind of some country in Europe, man. I don't know, France or England or something. But yeah, I guess because it's Goblin is part of European mythology.
It's probably that.
But it's just like, I guess as an American or something, it's just not like my first go-to. And plus, just reading comics and shit, it's been distilled so many times over. I don't immediately think of like European shit when I hear Goblin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I know that's where it comes from.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's one where you don't really think too much about it, but I can see how a lot of these times with the filmmakers, they go back to like the very base version of stuff. It's like, well, where do goblins come from? So like that type of stuff, I can see playing a role in this. They kind of took a page, I feel, from Batman 89 when it came to Goblin, because of the fact that like in Wayne Manor in 89, you got that whole room full of armors that is said to have inspired Bruce to create the armor that he put into the Batsuit. And then in the Spider-Man movie, the armor itself does come from Oscorp Tech, but the mask is implied to come from, because he's got a whole room full of like masks from like different cultures in that room. So that was kind of there to establish that sort of thing. So maybe they were thinking something similar with this. We're just like, well, he's a rich dude, so he probably collects a whole bunch of shit, and so maybe this is just some knight armor that he took off and fit for himself in some way and twisted it in his own, for his own purposes.
I think so. I forgot about him having that room. It's been a long time since I've seen that first movie, man. But it was definitely special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it still has that special feeling. I know some people are just like, it hasn't aged well, but I'm just like, if you go in for, if you want that cheesy goodness, then this movie has it for you. It fully embraces the fact that, this is a comic book, from the Stan Lee Ditko era spirit is there for sure in this. So
yeah, Sam Raimi was really just perfect, man.
Oh yeah, no,
for directing that.
Would love to see him do another one. Not necessarily Spider-Man. I know he just did Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, but more stuff like that, because obviously, like when that came out, I think more people were talking about his directing than the actual story on Doctor Strange. So
that movie, just like a 2-sentence sidebar, it was like, we never talked about this in huge detail, did we? It was like slow.
I don't think so. We did a review, but we didn't for the Patreon for
Patreon
for the main show.
What was cool about that movie was it was like slow for like 5 minutes in the beginning, and then it just takes the fuck off.
It does, yeah.
The rest of the movie, they're at like a church service, some shit, a wedding or something. And it's like pretty slow, dude. The first 5 or 10 minutes, and then it's just fucking doesn't take a breath after. Which I was like, damn, Raimi's bringing it.
I think once Wanda comes in, suddenly it takes off. From what I remember,
it's fast. It's pretty fast and kind of breakneck speed after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Raimi directs the shit out of certain sequences that in the hands of like someone who wasn't Raimi would not nearly look as memorable or feel as memorable.
Right. Yeah, it was good. It was good, man.
So we were moving on to James Carden, who worked on this. This is interesting. I've seen this ever since. I have a copy of one of the very first Art of a Superhero books I had was this one, Behind the Mask of Spider-Man, The Secrets of the Movie, by, once again, Mark Cotta-Vaz, who did the Art of Batman Begins book we talked about when we did the Batman Begins concept art. And I saw this one, and I always thought this was kind of weird, but still cool to see, which is sort of a like semi-translucent mask. You can kind of see the face a little bit underneath. Not something I would want to see, but kind of cool that, to see a concept art for it. So you can kind of see the eyes through the eye parts of the mask on this that you usually can't in the movies, because most of the time they don't design it like this. You can even see his ear kind of poking out of that. It's just kind of something that I guess they were trying to figure out or wrap their head around how the mask would work, and so they experimented with this.
I don't think I'm not sure, but I kind of feel like they weren't going to make a mask that was transparent. They wanted to draw something to show how the head fits in it.
Right.
Especially like not many people had experience with these kind of eyes probably either. So I don't know. That's the kind of vibe I get from that.
Well, on the top left, it says they want the material to be hard shell, semi-translucent polymer, and the potential eye color opacity shift. Interesting. So looks like there's some intention for it to be kind of translucent. Again, like I don't really know how this would look on
It's kind of
screen.
wild to me.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's one where I'm kind of grateful that we never got it, but at the same time, it's just weird to look at this and see that they were playing around with it.
Yeah.
Moving forward, here's what's going to interest people, because everybody lost their shit when they found out that there was going to be organic web shooters in this movie, which wasn't even a Sam Raimi idea. It was James Cameron, as we talked about in the James Cameron script, where that whole thing was to explore, puberty, because of obvious, comparisons with the web shooters. And that paid off really well in that Cameron script, I thought, where, the villain sort of takes advantage of the fact that he has those organic web shooters and tells him he's more of a creature than a human being and stuff, which we never really got in the Raimi movies. It was kind of just like, okay, he's got organic web shooters, but he's okay with it, and that's about it. So, but it does look like they were playing around with different concepts for the web shooters, and Dan found a lot on this specifically because of the fact that they were not only playing around with it, but it looks like they there's even more concept here. But it looks like they even built them at some point.
Oh, really? Okay.
So here's what we got here. This is the E3 prototype, it says here. So basically the prototype on the left is used in the Spider-Man 2001 E3 trailer. I think this is a trailer that was shown at for E3, and a similar prop apparently was sold on eBay. I don't know who to, or if that was just a replica of a prop. Right. But the screenshot of the web shooters in the trailer is right here. Not the best quality, but it's been a while. I don't think there's an HD version of this, so this is the best that Dan could find for this. But there's this, and then an even better look though is that in the official trailer you can kind of see it on his wrist on the left. Notice on the left, Tobey's got things on his wrists on both arms, but on the right, which I believe is the movie, he doesn't have them. I guess they were digitally removed.
They changed this that late in the game?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm kind of surprised by that.
It could also be a case where they weren't digitally removed. They were digitally added just for the trailer to shut people up about this web shooter thing. And then, they just kept the movie as is. Because, I don't know. Something was built. Something was shot to put in the trailer. But also, clearly it didn't make it into the final movie. I don't know how far they would have gone just to put stuff in the trailer just to shut people up on the web shooters, because clearly, it's still in the movie anyway. But it's sort of a mystery. Let us know in the comments if you guys happen to know the story behind this. All we know is that we have this concept art, which makes sense, but the fact that there's an actual prop that was built and shown in the trailers, that's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, I was unaware of that. Man, if they changed it that late, that's so crazy. But I guess so. Are you a fan of the physical, or you want it biological, or you don't care?
You know what? I've thought about this, and I really don't care when it comes to this because of the fact that, story-wise, you play around with the main purpose of the web shooters being mechanisms is the fact that sometimes they can get wrecked, and he's down to the stuff, but you could also just come up with other reasons why he can't when it comes to the Tobey version, or other obstacles. It doesn't always have to be, oh no, Green Goblin broke my web shooters.
Yes.
Personally, I'm not somebody who it has to be organic or it has to be web shooters. However, because of the fact that this is so much associated with this movie, I also kind of don't know how I would feel if there was another interpretation that came about with this. It was fitting in No Way Home when Tobey showed up and they're like, what, you guys can't do that? When he did the organic ones, because he's the only one who can do it. And I kind of prefer it if he's the only one who can do it. So That's my stance on it. Where it's like I don't really care as much, but I do want Toby to be the main one. So I guess that makes me prefer the like tech web shooters, but not really because of like much of a principled reason. It's more of just like, it fits this version of it, so like keep it with that. It's just kind of like with some of the Batman stuff, where it's like it would feel like I love the Batmobile that went with Keaton. If that was with every version of Batman, though, I don't know how I would feel, because I kind of like the thing about every Batman having his own different Batmobile.
Right.
So it's kind of like that to me.
I don't care too much either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that the argument that if they're physical, they can be fucked up, and then what's he gonna do? They like people like that problem.
Mm-hmm.
They want that obstacle to be written in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. He could just lose his mojo. It's like if you spit a whole bunch, you're gonna get a dry ass mouth. That's kind of how I look at it. Like, if it's, what I mean. Like he could run out even when it's biological.
That too.
So and it's a goddamn spider guy. Is it really that out of the question that he can shoot fucking, webs out of his hands? I mean, it would be from his butt if he was a real spider, but
right.
Mm-hmm. We're not going to do that because we're having fun with our science and comic books and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, it's just funny what people like, focus on. If they are physical, I don't care too much either. I'm not missing organic, but, and I get that, it's more traditional that way if he's, got the mechanical ones, the physical ones, but,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it doesn't matter too much to me.
Yeah. So I guess we pretty much agree on that one. I remember people were like losing their shit when Andrew Garfield's version was like making his. They're like, finally, he makes his own web shooters. I'm just like, okay, like,
yeah, yeah. Spider-Man's got so many fans, so many comic fans, though, dude. Spider-Man's
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's Batman, so like,
yeah,
I get their fandom. I don't agree with everything, but I can understand their fervency.
I will say that if there's that, and then, if it was a Batman thing where they brought to life something we've always wanted to see but never did, then we'd be losing our shit. So, like, maybe I shouldn't judge when it comes to that. It's not something that I personally thought was like, oh my God, it's amazing. He now makes his own web shooters. Because I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, that was bound to happen with another interpretation anyway. So it's cool that this version gets to do it. But I wasn't like I didn't have like a huge positive response to that. I was just kind of like, all right, sure.
The Lizard was sick too. I'm kind of a fan of the first Garfield one, man. Second one I can't defend, but the first one was pretty. I don't know. It was okay, man. I don't know what people took as biggest shit on that movie I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, let's move on.
Yes, if you guys want coverage on the Garfield ones, let us know, because we've got 3 or maybe 4. Of these for the Raimi ones, and after that, there's plenty of other Spider-Man stuff to go over. So here's the more organic concept, brought to us by Carson, and Carden, and you can kind of see the stuff coming out of his veins, right there. So this is another idea of a web shooter concept, kind of cool, where the like shooters themselves look a little different. With it almost looks like a leech that's attached to his forearm there.
You know what? I can see, this is not bad. It's a little vile thing going in the direction that the webs would be shot in. So I don't know. It's fine, dude. It's cool.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so this is Carden's version of this. So this is a different take on the Green Goblin. As we can see, it looks like the mask is not fully, covering his face in this one. It's kind of still like a helmet type of thing, almost like he's got fangs though. But he's in this sort of helmet thing that covers part of his chin, has like red goggles on it. Still has like the pointy ears, but they look, more. Practical, where they look almost like they're supposed to be antennae or something like that. And horns in the back. And this looks more like what they were doing with the movie, where it was like, oh, like his suit comes from Oscorp Tech, because this looks like, tech stuff for the military, like a movie version of tech stuff for the military, which is what they said his stuff was supposed to be for. So interesting. I don't like it as much as what we saw from Manser with that, that first mask. I think that's still the winner, but this is interesting to look at.
It's a lot more like techie for sure. I don't hate it, but it's just like it would be better. This approach would be better with another character, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a good alternate maybe for another universe, just not the main first outing. It's okay.
It could be a case too where they were saying like, hey, like because of the expressiveness of the face, you can only really pull it off by not covering up Willem Dafoe's face so much. So let's just make it mostly his face, but still have the helmet. Like this. Maybe this was a compromise from Carson.
Yeah, I can see that.
So interesting to look at for sure. Here's another look. Different take as well. A little bit more traditional in terms of the silhouette, but the way that it's designed, the specific components are a little different. We have, spaces of like green. I guess it's almost like, if he were an actual goblin, it'd be like his skin is showing. And like different pieces of armor showing that, and a purple glider and stuff. Very hardcore. But yeah, almost this embraces the goblin thing, because this almost looks more like if Dafoe was in like prosthetic makeup to look like an actual goblin as opposed to a guy in a suit.
I don't hate it. I mean, it's got the colors, right? I don't know. It's just okay. I'd like to see a more up close look, but I don't know. It's something kind of fun about this, I think. So yeah, not bad. I think it's good.
Yeah, I like the comic booky aspects to it, especially with the way that the mask kind of looks here, and just the overall look too. The silhouette looks very like goblin-y in a way that the one in the final movie doesn't quite match. Yeah,
I feel like 10% out of my element with Spider-Man, to be honest. Like with Batman and Superman, I feel a lot more in the pocket, but hopefully I'm not just saying, yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's good. I don't know. I'm getting a little bit self-conscious about that, but
these are cool designs. Like this is them just playing around with shit, and then some of the stuff looks better than what we got in the movie, even though the movie's a classic.
I feel like, maybe it's a little bit, maybe normally I would say it's a little bit over-designed, but I don't know. It kind of works for me, actually.
It's like right at the edge of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just organic looking too, which I think is good. Like maybe you can get away with a little bit more of that. I don't know. If it's get away with it more if it's a little bit more organic looking rather than mechanical. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, potentially. It's a little bit of a more. This is like a closer look of a similar thing, I think. Not quite the same. When I look at the knees are a little different when I go back and forth.
Yeah.
But, a little bit more almost steampunkish in some ways, too, to me.
Yeah. It's good. Another one. I don't know what else to say. It's good. I like the armor. It works. It's fun. It's I don't know. If this was what they chose, I would have been okay with that too.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, because I think there's a criticism. Oh yeah, there's another version of.
This is worse.
Yeah, this is.
To me, this is a definite. No offense to the artist, but this is just. God. It's a definite worse. Like this is better, and the one before it is like. I mean, this is cool. This is solid
cool.
As hell.
This is cool, and then we get to this.
Yeah, this is kind of a no-go.
This is too much on the tech. This does not look like a goblin at all. This just looks like a random dude in a suit. Like, this guy could be like Bugman.
Yeah.
Some guy that Spider-Man takes out in like 2 seconds.
I think should
doesn't look like the Green Goblin.
Ground his glider, dude. This is just this is no go.
Yeah. Then there's the other one, which is.
This is still a no, man. I don't know.
What is it about?
They wanted to see a different approach, so I get it. They're like, we got this other one. Let's see another one.
Yeah.
Let's go another direction just to see it. So I know why they made these drawings and shit, but it's, I'm glad they didn't go with this.
They went too much on this one, yeah.
Yeah.
This one's the worst.
It's like Golden Age kind of shit.
This one could be a good Kite Man. if we switch the glider with the kite.
Yeah, it's just this is so. Yeah, it's like I know Spider-Man came out in the Silver Age, but this could have been a Golden Age, Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe.
That helmet looks like Steve Rogers, dude.
There's no Goblin-esque type of thing. I mean, they went way too far with the realism aspect. Like
loses the fun entirely. Yeah.
The movie version is definitely better than this.
Yeah, this is easily worse.
Yeah. Similar thing. This is like a green Tron suit.
This definitely looks a lot like
glider.
it.
Yeah.
I don't like this either. What's the deal with that glider?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out too. It's almost like it's coming apart in some ways. I guess it's just not smooth. Like it's not the sleek design you would want with the glider.
Yeah, it looks like it's no offense, man, to any artists out there, but it just looks like it was from it's like a different art style almost. Maybe that's the point.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because they're playing around,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not. It's just this one's not that good.
Yeah, no. Same thing.
This is better than the other one though, but it's still not the best we've seen. His face does look like a goblin. He does look like, dude. Yeah,
I can see Defoe in this. It's just not what I would prefer.
It looks like he's like flying on Cap's shield.
Yeah, I know, right? That too. Like the glider's not a glider anymore. It's like he's on a disc.
Yeah, they wanted like a hover pad looking thing. I think they probably thought that was more realistic or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, let's do the fucking glider, dude.
Yeah, no, it would have been so much worse if they went with something like this.
Yeah.
This I thought was cool to include from Carson. So this is, maybe it is Carson. Hold on. Oh yeah, it is Carson. Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
So this is the Green Goblin in the Daily Bugle, actually in like the bullpen area, because he does crash through the window in order to, interrogate Jameson at that point, but you don't really see him flying around, inside the bullpen and stuff. He only just shows up in the office. So this is kind of cool to see, like, what if?
And he whisks by J. Jonah Jameson's cigar.
And it goes out.
Yeah, it goes out. Yeah, that would have been cool.
Fun, yeah. All right, so this is now Miles Teves. Miles Teves also worked on the Schumacher Batman films. So, is now working on the Spider-Man stuff. This is the suit. Now we're looking at something more traditional, as we can see, but really defined musculature, which clearly Teves can, is specializing in, since he also had the very anatomically correct, bat suits and Robin suit in this one. So this is close to what we got in the movie, it feels. We got kind of that raised webbing that I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Is this the only movie with the raised webbing?
The only interpretation, because I think all of Toby's suits have that raised webbing. But then once it went to Andrew Garfield, I don't think it was. It feels like it was not as pronounced as I think it was still raised, but not. And it was black too. So like even if it was raised, it was like probably not raised as much, or didn't seem like it was raised as much due to the silver on it.
Dude,
I mean the silver on the Maguire one versus the black.
I need Garfield to fight Venom, dude. They're both Sony. Dude, it'd be so
Him versus
sick.
Tom Hardy.
Yes, man. That's like the only way Sony can redeem themselves at this point.
I know. Just wait for Craven and Madam Web.
Can't wait for those movies.
I remember I told you like Craven got pushed, and you're just like, oh no.
Oh, that's so sad. That's awful, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Craven, what we always wanted.
Yes.
Goddamn Craven movie. Who the fuck is gonna be next, man? Like, God, got Madam Web. Like, I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know. Let's see more from Miles Teves, but yeah, it looks like this general aesthetic is what they went with. Very muscular or lean musculature on Spider-Man here with the raised webbing. Another attempt at the web shooters. Again, kind of cool here because it almost looks like it's the spider inside the web on his forearm.
Actually, that is cool. Yeah,
that is a cool
and
design.
all the web leads to that. It's sick. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's almost like there's a spider on his arm that's shooting out the webs through him.
Yes.
So that's a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Now we get into Goblin. So this is very techy, as we can see in terms of just like the little intricacies of everything. You can kind of see that it's still meant to be a helmet, though. You can see the human eyes through the eye slits. It also says Green Goblin makeup using actor's mouth. I'm guessing that means that like they would find some way to hook it up to his mouth so that it would move at the same time as when the actor is moving.
Yeah.
And then the ears are a lot more closer to like goblin ears as opposed to like the techy looking ones that we saw earlier. So
I like the
again,
big ears.
cool.
I want the organic ears. I think they're cool.
Yeah, me too.
This is you know what? I like it.
Yeah,
cool.
This is much better than the Bugman, Kite Man type of look from earlier.
There's a lot of personality here. This feels like a fully realized drawing to me.
I like about this and some of the others we saw where like it's a nice, well, maybe there's a little too over the top, but it's like it's a mix of what could come off as like a real goblin mixed with tech. You know?
Yeah, I like this one too. This is cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
The back of him is almost, well, this is interesting. It's like the back horn area goes so far back and then like connects to like some sort of like jetpack thing on his back or something.
I don't know what's. I don't know
Look at
what's
his
going
fingers.
He's got the big goblin fingers, man. I don't know. Yeah, they kind of have it like he's like mutated a little bit, which kind of would have been cool, but I wonder how that would work in story. But I don't know.
I guess it would work, because he's already injected himself with a serum. You've already got Peter with organic web shooters, so like I guess it would make sense. Because we got some version of that with the Dane DeHaan version in Amazing Spider-Man 2. But I'm glad we got what we got when it came to Goblin being a guy in a suit, so you can have the traditional version of Green Goblin right out of the gate, being the Goblin that people grew up with, and then the Garfield films can experiment with that take, which was not nearly as successful, obviously, but like I give them props for like trying something different because they knew they couldn't just do like, well, let's just put some other actor in the suit and do the same exact thing, but it's not Willem Dafoe. So they tried something different. Didn't quite work, but I'm glad it was different.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, this is okay. What, they were trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So after we get back from the break, we do have a major artist who worked on this film for the concept art. Many of you know already that artist was Alex Ross. So we're going to cover the Alex Ross concept art for Spider-Man 2002. After the break. Welcome everyone to the August announcements. We have a lot to share with you coming up this month, so let's get to it. As you know, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/superherostuffpod. We use the money for this towards our recording space and StreamYard that we've seen here in all our episodes. Our server, our website. Our assistant Dan Yamat, who does all the visuals and thumbnails for us. So. We are currently sitting at a little less than $200 a month right now. We'd love to get to $300 a month, which would cover everything for us from month to month. If more people join the Patreon and we reach $300 a month in Patreon, we will celebrate that by covering one of our most requested episodes, Superman Lives, which would have been directed by Tim Burton and starring, as we see, Nicolas Cage. So that is our goal, to hit $300 a month on Patreon. You can help us get there by joining any of the Patreon tiers at patreon.com/superherostuffpod and, help us out a little over that.
It'll be an absolute Superman Lives bonanza multi-parter.
Oh, yes.
So, you
So
get your money's worth. Yeah,
yes.
Don't worry. We'll cover the shit out of it. We
Yes.
just want to get to that new goal.
Mm-hmm. So thank you, everyone who's already part of the Patreon as well. In the meantime, some upcoming stuff that you guys might want to be on the lookout for. I will have a guest appearance this month on the podcast Flashbacks, a Flash Rewatch podcast from one of our friends and Patreon patrons, Alex Ramsey. And we're going to discuss the Man in the Yellow Suit episode from Season 1, which was the very first appearance of the Reverse Flash on the CW show, at least the Reverse Flash in costume, since he was already kind of part of the show before that. But yes, that'll be what we cover, and I'll likely be on Alex's Night of the Batman podcast at some point as well, but I'll let you guys know. when it comes to
All right.
So, moving forward, you've heard about this before, but we'll repeat again. We are executive producers and co-stars in an award-winning independent short film by Jeffrey Scott Richards. You can support the film over at the GoFundMe link that will be in the description below, as well as what's on screen. But you can also watch it now at the Multi-Dimension Independent Film Festival website. That link will also be in the description, but you can check it out. It features pretty much us in an exclusive recording. It is a superhero stuff you should know episode we recorded for the movie, in which we talk about Derek Magnum, who in the short is a director of comic book movies. So we talk about Derek in that and kind of serve as the narrator and exposition through a superhero stuff you should know episode. So a great use of us, I think, personally. So check that out over at basically the site is mdiff.net/Derek-Magnum. So that is what we got for our shorts. Go ahead.
It was an honor to be part of this, and if you could support them and support, it's just very expensive to make a movie, and if you could just check out his GoFundMe, that'd be great.
Yeah, and thanks to him, we are now award-winning producers, executive producers.
Yes,
on stuff on our IMDb. But this sending the films through film festivals is not cheap, so the GoFundMe goes towards the cost there, and it will support the movie. Again, it'll go towards the movie, and it'll go to Jeffrey. It will not go to us. We're good. We got our Patreon. Just to clarify that.
Yes.
Over to Andrew you've got something big coming up this month.
Okay, so speaking of indie film, and the future is Kickstarter, I feel like, and Indiegogo. So this is Metal Force. This is think of R-rated Power Rangers meets Stranger Things, a little bit of X-Files, Green Room, that A24 horror film where Patrick Stewart is a villain, is a neo-Nazi. No neo-Nazis in ours, but there's a punk band in that movie and there's a metal band in ours. So that's another one I've been meaning to tell people. There's a little bit of Green Room in there. Anyway, Metal Force is a film I'm working on, and we're gonna have a booth at Japan World Heroes Convention. That's in the Burbank Marriott Convention Center, August 18th through 20th. We will have a little bit of stickers and stuff that'll be on sale, and just say hey, and we're going to officially launch the Kickstarter then. Metalforce.ninja, www.metalforce.ninja. That is our website. That is our URL. If you go there, there's a Kickstarter link there as well. You can find the Kickstarter there and get on the pre-launch page and sign up for pre-launch before we launch it on the 18th. And so far, as of this recording, we got 75. So if you want to kick us up into 100, that'd be cool. And it's this is going to connect to the next slide, but it just feels like Hollywood has failed us. And so I feel like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and GoFundMe and all of these are just really great avenues for filmmakers now. And like the Bat and the Sun guy's been doing it for a while. A lot of people have been doing it, and I am gonna be part of that. With some friends. So stay tuned. Metal Force. If you like Power Rangers and Stranger Things, did you ever wish Power Rangers got darker? Did you want blood? Did you want limbs being ripped off? Metal Force.
Amazing.
Okay.
And moving on, we have our August charity that we'd like to share.
Yes. So it's the Entertainment Community Fund. This is to help starving artists. No, I mean, hopefully they're not starving, but some of them might be. People that are affected by the strike. We're not all. I mean, personally, I am too, but I have another gig that's kind of helping me out. But there's some people that don't have that extra gig, and people that aren't part of the union that don't have the strike fund. The unions have a strike fund that help support them during that, which is great. I am pro-union, but some other people, and people that I know also are affected by this that aren't part of the union. They don't get the strike fund money. So this Entertainment Community Fund helps to support them. So This is our charity for this month. Please go to entertainmentcommunity.org, and if you could donate anything, that would be great.
Yep, for sure. So, yeah, please visit entertainmentcommunity.org, donate what you can, and help out those who are part of so many of these movies and TV shows that we talk about and that we know that you guys love.
Yes.
So, I think that is it for the August announcements.
Just wanted to announce that I have a new podcast called Gaming Gaiden. It's about Japanese to English translation. In this first season, it will be 10 episodes each season. If you saw the ranking, every Superman video game two-parter we did here on Superhero Stuff You Should Know, you have seen Mike before. So yes, if you like video games, if you've been interested in Japanese ever, we're going to be talking a lot about just Japan in general, Japanese cultural differences as well, and we also are going to have a lot of talk about 90s video game magazines such as Electronic Gaming Monthly, aka EGM. So stay tuned for Gaming Gaiden podcast. It's already out now, y'all. I want to tell you about the patreon.com superherostuffpod, and on that you get the $1 tier. You can join the $1 tier, which gets you the shout out on the board, and either visually or orally, or both at times. We want to do the oral for the most part for newer people. And then the $5 tier gets you a whole new show. This show is every Monday, as you well know, and it's free on YouTube and the what's nots. And the Patreon show is every Friday at the $5 tier mark. You can, if you want, binge us for $5, and there's like 150 episodes, almost 150 at this point, and you can listen to all that content there. Even the stuff that's been released from the vault, none of that has been the full episode as well. So trying to keep our $5 tier people happy. But yeah, check that out. And then our $10 tier gets you all of the above, plus it gets you a monthly meetup show where you meet up with us monthly, and it's like a Zoom-like call, and we have a topic at hand, or sometimes videos we react to and things like that. And that's at the $10 tier. Every tier that you get, like the $5 tier gets you the $1 tier benefits, and the $10 tier gets you the $5 tier benefits and the $1 tier benefits. So check that out at patreon.com/superherostuffpod. We also got the merch, which is Redbubble, superhousepod.redbubble.com, and on Threadless, superherostuffpod.threadless.com. Get your Bin Man and Indeed Wizard mug, shirt, shower curtains, and all the rest artwork by Stefan Santa Cruz. And please send us some audio at superhousepodcast@gmail.com. A bumper would be great. You too can be part of the show. I'm ThunderWolfDrew on Instagram and Twitter. ThunderWolf Lives is my other YouTube channel, one of my many YouTube channels. And I have also ThunderWolfDrew.com has my whole portfolio in one place, except for AmanoRecon.com. That's AMANORECON.com. And that is an original idea that some friends and I are doing, where it is R-rated Power Rangers meets Stranger Things. That's the quick pitch, and it is not a fan film, original idea. We have a pitch video right now on YouTube and on the Indiegogo page. We're campaigning right now as of this, when this episode premieres. And this poster art is by ZacharyJacksonBrownArt.com. And check it out. Please support us on the campaign, and more from that soon. But yes, it's bloody, and if you like that kind of thing, check us out. And that's it, Ben.
Follow us on social media, on Twitter at SuperHousePod, Instagram Superhero Stuff Pod, where we have some different supplemental stuff. I've even analyzed the martial arts stance that the Keaton ornament from The Flash is in, so you can check that out on our Instagram Superhero Stuff Pod, TikTok Superhero Stuff Pod, Vero Superhero Stuff Pod. My website is benwanwriter.com, where you can read a whole bunch of spec scripts, including Gotham, Vampire, Elementary, The Death of Sherlock Holmes, and Curb Your Enthusiasm, Disneyland. If you're fans of any of those shows, check them out and let us know what you think. My YouTube channel is in the description below, including Doctor Who, The Ronin of Time, an audio drama I write, edit, and narrate with the 8th Doctor meeting Miyamoto Musashi. My personal Instagram is BenJuanWriter. If you like cats, my son, Alfie, my cat, is at Alfie Pennyworth Cat. And if you have an Alfie yourself, then you can get the Whisker Box, the only cat box with a crazy cat lady and gent. And you can even check out another page on that website, superherostuffpod.com/show notes. That includes various show notes for each of our episodes, links to the scripts that we review if they're available online, Amazon links to the stuff we've been talking about, including, Brian Levant's book that he plugged for us, My Life and Toys. So check that out at superherostuffpod.com/show notes.
Lord have mercy, y'all. Do you like hounds? Do you enjoy pooches? Do you find yourself enjoying time spent with that of canines? Talking about dogs, y'all.
As you might have heard, Superhero Stuff You Should Know has now teamed up with BarkBox. For every month, you get a box for your special canine.
Pooches.
Or hounds.
That's right. One free extra month if you go to barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Follow the link and you'll get a free extra month valued at $35 and valid for all multi-length plans.
So get the BarkBox for your hound, for your pooch, for your canine.
Your doggo will thank you.
That must be his brother, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
We are back, and so is Spider-Man. So, we promised after the break we would show you Alex Ross's concept art, and here we are. Many of you have probably already seen it. Andrew is splooging all over the camera. So, let's go over the... Okay, let's go over to...
That's how I splooge every time. My wife loves it. That's why we got married.
Yes. So Alex Ross... You okay there?
I'm better
Andrew's
now.
having a good time. So, as he's resting and having a cigarette, I will cover the concept art.
I should have that. Do you smoke after sex? I don't know. I never looked.
So, we have... This is a unique design here. So we're playing around once again with red and black. I don't know what came first, the Alex Ross stuff or the Warren Manser stuff. Maybe it's one where Ross did this and they tried to play around with it and Manser did what we saw earlier. But we do have the black and red. The spider, in contrast to what we saw in the Manser one, is huge.
Yeah.
It's just all over his midsection there. The web shooters are very apparent with the red web shooters on his wrist. You even see a mix of black and red. As well around, well, I mean, everywhere, but I mean just on the side of his hands, which is cool.
Yes.
So this is a design that's kind of well known, I would think, and we have another look here. He's got the web wings in this picture, 2001, something that we would not really get to see until Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Right.
More designs here in black and white, but it's Alex Ross. He's one of the greats. So it is cool that he got to be such a part of these movies because we get to the second one and he does the opening credit sequence. So that's, it's really awesome he was able to be a part of this and incorporate the comics in some way. Now, I know we talked about this before when Zach was on the show and we covered the unmade spider suits and we wondered what was going on here. This was actually somebody who was at the premiere of Spider-Man 2 in a costume resembling the Alex Ross concept art and stuff, and you have another picture here with somebody in the Maguire suit. So it is cool to sort of honor the original Alex Ross design.
That's cool.
Now we get Alex Ross's Goblin, and he went full out on the Goblin side of things. A little less with the tech, but more on the Goblin side. I'm not really sure how this would have worked outside of just prosthetic makeup. Like, this is not a helmet type of situation here.
Well, he injects himself, right? Like you said.
He does back to formula. Like, he injects himself and stuff. So it could be that they went with the Ultimate Spider-Man route, where he kind of becomes more of a monster.
I kind of like that, man. Although I guess it means he can't ever go back. Well, unless
if they do a Hulk thing,
got an antidote kind of thing, or he's all. Yeah, like a junkie. He's taking one to become the Goblin and take another one to become human again.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be kind of cool. But But yeah, I kind of like it more than the mask. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they were playing around. I don't know. This almost looks like Robin Hood in this.
It's again like a European thing.
Yeah, right.
I kind of like it. I mean, it looks a little bit more. It looks young, like younger than. It looks like a early 20s or late teens or kind of villain.
If
or
this
something.
was a Harry Osborn Green
Yeah.
Goblin, if this was the son, this would be a better. Actually, yeah, this would have been a way better design for the James Franco one than what we got in the third movie. The third movie, they went more tech.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm kind of a fan. I mean, it's a lot of leg there, but it's kind of cool.
It's luscious legs on Norman Osborn there.
Robin would be jealous.
This is actually. Let me go back for a second. I think you see a G on his knapsack thing
Oh, bro, you got to, man.
for branding. Yes.
You got to brand the Green
kinda
Goblin
funny.
shit.
But yeah, this is Alex Ross and the glider. Now this is more. This looks like more of a futuristic thing. It says proposed Alex Ross Green Goblin and sled. So this is cool. I do prefer it just being, there's no thing for his hands where it's just literally him on like a, snowboard, skateboard type of thing. But this is kind of cool too. It's almost like Star Wars-esque sort of look to it.
Can you believe those exist now? So many years of this comic, and due to it's essentially a drone on his feet, but still it's like kind of it though. And there's people that did cosplay with this kind of shit. To me, I always thought that would be one of those things that would take longer to make, like a hovercraft type of thing. But fucking it straight up exists. Like it's barely even sci-fi anymore.
Oscorp is real.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, the Goblin part is still comic booky, but the actual glider shit is straight up real. I can't. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's no longer in the world of fantasy anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like, well, of course he has that. He's rich enough to have something like that. Of course he has that. It doesn't have that same wonder to it.
Like kids these days, probably not even like that. Like it's not even that big of a deal to them.
Right.
I don't know. It's wild, man. It's wild.
It is. So this is the Alex Ross stuff. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it's definitely different than what we got.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to end on the stuff. I know Andrew and I were talking about this offline. The Stan Winston, basically Stan Winston's company worked on the Green Goblin. A proposed makeup test was done as well. Many of you probably already know this, especially if you're fans of the movie, but we have a lot to show when it comes to this. So we got something that looks a lot more traditional in development. See, this looks, except for the eyes, maybe, looks pretty much close to what we got in the comics. In this case, the eyes being close to what we got in the movie, where they're just kind of, opaque. You don't really see anything behind them on this. But
well, they just don't normally sculpt that either. I think
true, but that's true.
Whole...
That's true in the final version.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So got a little bit more here. And this is them beginning to put it on whoever they're going to have to test it. It's not Willem Dafoe, but someone else who is wearing this prosthetic makeup that is designed to have basically solve the problem that we were talking about earlier, where in the comics, it's supposed to be a mask, but it's a mask that really fits his face well because he's able to be expressive and shit with it. And they weren't really able to translate that over into the movie, but this was a proposed idea to do just that, where whatever happens on the mask on the outside reflects what's going on the inside on the actual actor. So here we got a little closer to that. The big organic goblin ears, the purple sort of hood thing in the back for that kind of horn that he's got. And we got this guy walking around. Also a different type of suit as well. You can't really see it very well in these pictures, but you'll see it in a bit. But this type of look would have been really cool. Though
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a little bit of a mix too, because I'm just like, how would this have worked on Willem Dafoe? Because this is obviously not Dafoe on this.
Yeah.
But just picturing Dafoe's voice coming out of this thing, saying some of the lines that he had in the movie, is awesome. And then the things themselves, instead of them being built into the mask, this is more looking like fangs that he has or is developed in this part. And as you can see, it's very expressive. He's gone from looking very, angry. He looks almost shocked and saddened in the middle.
Yeah.
And stuff, but it's supposed to be
Pretty
very
cool.
expressive. Yeah. And so we have Dan found for us this animatronic test and stuff. I'm just going to skip around a little bit on this, but you guys can kind of see the movement that we have here. And it's pretty impressive, really. It's kind of sad that we didn't end up seeing it. But yeah, he can deliver lines, he can talk, he can have all sorts of expressions on it, and it's pretty freaky. And, a lot of people kind of wish that some version of this made it into the movie or so. And I'm kind of mixed on it. Even though I really like it, I think it's really awesome, but it's, it is a movie that is... There's something still iconic about the final design, even if I think that some of the other ones here are better. So it's just kind of tough for me to picture the 2002 Spider-Man movie with this mask,
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen it completely done. Like, I feel like the back of his head is unfinished here.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I think he kind of needed the full get-up. He needs the hood, the back hood thing.
Mm-hmm.
His suit looks like probably what they were, near complete, maybe. Always,
Well, at least the top half, because when they do this big reveal, he's just in a suit. He's
right.
in a shirt underneath.
Like, if we'd seen, a full deal with him on a glider with a pumpkin bomb.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been kind of cool to see. I wonder about the eyes. Would they have CG'd the eyes a little more? Because, it just being those orange ovals, it's a little bit... I don't know, man. I know it's, looks more like the comic, but I don't know. You get a lot of expression, but not with the eyes there. But I'm not sure what they would have done.
I mean, we didn't get a ton either in the movie, except for that one scene where he doesn't have the lenses on, so you can kind of see Defoe's face in a couple of times where he doesn't have it. But I mean, it's weird, right? This is more comic accurate. It is really cool. It's just tough for me to picture this in the final movie. Again, this is sort of the thing that comes up, right? Is that there's always this allure of what if. Ooh, yeah, this is cool.
This is pretty cool.
There's always the allure of what if, but also there's kind of a thing where you are fundamentally changing something that's such a part of everybody's, especially with a movie like this or Batman '89. People grew up with these movies, so to change that aspect of it, how would that look like? It's kind of just hard to wrap your head around. Just like it's hard for me to, even though we've been talking a lot about the Sam Hamm Batman '89 draft. That's very different from what we got in the movie.
So this came out,
kind of tough to picture that.
First Maguire came out in 2002, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is I know I always bring this up with Spider-Man, but 4 years is a lot when you're a kid. I was 18. You were what, 14? I just feel I mean, I was young, but I don't feel like I grew up with the Maguire movies. I was already grown, So I feel like I have a little bit different attachment to these films than maybe you do.
Right.
I mean, I like them, especially I think I like the second one the most. With Doc Ock, with Michael Chabon. Why the fuck is Michael Chabon, Pulitzer Prize winning The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay writing ass motherfucker, not writing more superhero movies? Anyway,
maybe that's
I
all he
digress.
wanted to do. He's just I did it, Spider-Man.
Look up Michael Chabon, man. He wrote this fictionalized version of Siegel and Schuster, essentially called The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay.
Yeah.
And that won a Pulitzer for him. But he just wrote this one and then left. I guess he's done. That's all he wanted to do. I don't know.
More power to him.
More power to him, I guess. But I love the second one probably the most. But I mean, I do like them a lot. I think Raimi was the perfect guy, and I'm glad he went comic booky as hell on the whole thing. So I don't know. Yeah, I find our age differences on this one interesting for some reason.
Right. This knowledge is not quite the same on this one. So it's a little easier than for you to picture this Goblin, the one that we just saw with the makeup test and stuff in the movie. It might be easier for you to envision that.
I think I'm a little bit less attached to it than you are, maybe. Yeah. To the one we got. I mean, I like the one we got okay. But it would have been interesting to see about this one as well. I don't know.
Definitely.
But we didn't get it. That's another universe that got that movie.
Yeah. Maybe someday. Someday there'll be a version of Goblin where they do this type of mask. Probably not the exact same one, obviously, because this is from Stan Winston in like 2001. So they're probably not like keeping that around just in case somebody wants to use it someday. But something that's that could use this technology. That could be cool.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
So let us know, guys, in the comments section which ones you like the most with the time codes, and or if you just prefer the ones in the movie the best. That's fair too, I think. But this is pretty much our dive into the Spider-Man 2002 unused concept art, and I think our favorites are probably this latest Goblin mask and that first Goblin mask.
Yeah, the first one was cool. I did like that one a lot.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
So I would have been interested to see them try to bring that one to life too.
It's a lot more like old Euro vibe and less techy.
Yeah,
for sure. And maybe slightly dark for this film, but I don't know. I mean, but I did like it the most design-wise.
I guess there's just certain characters where if the character's trying to be like creature, like Batman or Green Goblin, I prefer it not to look that tech-like.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Doc Ock, I'm just like, you knock yourself out with the tentacles. They're not supposed to be like real tentacles. So they can look as techy as whatever.
Right.
But with Goblin, I'm just like, like it shouldn't look like. I think the one in the movie, like, yes, it's more on the tech side, and maybe this is nostalgia talking, but I'm just like, I think they did just enough without going too overboard with it, without making it too much like what we saw earlier with those like Kite Man looking ones. We're just like, okay, that's just literally some guy in a green tech outfit that has no Goblin aesthetic at all to it. Like they found some way to balance that out. And maybe they could have added more of the comic book type of stuff. They just didn't, for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why they didn't go with the Stan Winston one. But for whatever reason, I think what we got in the movie was just enough, just comic booky enough, just tech enough, just the right balance or so, without really ruining anything, or without the tech stuff kind of ruining the whole aesthetic they were going for.
Right.
So, and with that is superhero stuff you should know. Big thanks to Dan for gathering the visuals and all the concept art for the YouTube experience. We are going to move forward into the fan comments. So, we got an email from Paul saying, "Hi guys, I've attached a media post about Snyder's plan to end his movie series with Flashpoint. Did you know about this? Can you verify or debunk as rumor only? Cheers, Paul." So this is a post from one of those fan Instagram sites that sort of regurgitates a lot of fan news that aren't necessarily true. So I can understand your skepticism, Paul. But this is actually true. So Jay Oliva, who did he directed the Dark Knight Returns animated movies, the Flashpoint Paradox, he worked with Snyder as well as Ben Affleck on a lot of these movies, and kind of revealed recently last week that there was going to be an idea of like continuing further beyond the Justice League movies, and it's sort of ending in a Flashpoint sort of thing, and also including the Reverse Flash Eobard Thawne and stuff. Those were kind of the main details that Oliver revealed. I know a lot of people are saying like, "Oh man, look at what we missed," but again, it's one of those without looking at execution. It's like, well, of course that would be cool, like of course a more faithful adaptation of Flashpoint that was a little bit maybe more earned in the way leading up to it would have been cool, but we can only speculate on what if right now until like actual outlines or scripts are leaked out. I think the execution is the key, because there's probably some alternate universe where this ended up happening, but then somebody found out about the Muschietti version and wished that version happened because it had Michael Keaton's Batman coming back. So
oh my god.
So yeah, who knows? But like just going off of what little information we have, yeah, it could have been cool. How would it have been executed? No idea. But thanks, Paul, for that.
Thank you.
This is from E2JH. It's the best way I can pronounce the. Again, YouTube changed their settings, so like now we go off of the more of the handles rather than the usernames that you guys have chosen. So he says, you guys should take a look at Spider-Man No Way Home's art book as well. A lot of interesting stuff there. I've seen a few of those that have been going around recently. There's like a more Iron Man-esque Green Goblin look for Defoe, a more traditional Doc Ock look for Molina's Doc Ock. So that'll be cool. But yeah, I mean, if these Spider-Man ones do well, we might as well just continue and do all of them. You know, everything
Yes,
from
exactly.
Maguire, Garfield, and Tom Holland. That should take us through maybe the end of the year. Throw in Spider-Verse while we're at it. So
That is true.
but yeah, we picked another character who has multiple interpretations. So, but thank you. We'll probably get to No Way Home at some point anyway.
Oh, the best Spider-Man movie. That's
Mike
I
Martin's.
don't know if that's
That's
a
your
hot
favorite?
take. I love No Way Home.
I love it too. I think there was one of the, I don't know, for some reason the internet then decided to shit on it after like a month or two after it was out.
Fuck
I don't
them.
know.
That was a great movie.
Exactly. I'm just like, no, it still holds up. Like I just don't get. I think it's just one of those things where like anything that is up has to get knocked down to peg by the internet. That's kind of just a general
I
rule
guess so.
that is out there. So nothing can be too loved. But I love it too.
All I need in my life is for Maguire to give him that stern ass look and be like, and not saying any words, just with a look saying, "You don't want to cross that line."
Yes.
You know, when he's holding him back. That movie was already good before that, but it sealed
That
the
put that
deal.
over the edge. Yeah.
But that one fucking look from Maguire, like, no, you're not doing that today. Like, I love that scene.
Yeah, no, same here. Just there's so many things to that third act that could have gone wrong that they were able to balance out well. So
Oh, so good.
so good. We'll get to it. All right, Mike Martin's 7455 did bring up a correction to ours. So last time when we went over the Batfleck concept art, you asked me if the whole thing about Batman crashing through the window happened in every movie. I didn't remember it happening in The Dark Knight, but Mike, as well as some other people in the live comments, you know, when the episode was set to premiere, commented on this, saying in The Dark Knight he does crash through the window when he's in China, well, it's Hong Kong, going after Lao. So
Hey, we're gonna let the internet decide on that one. We're not making that decision today
yes,
as to what that is.
Yes, he crashes through the window. So this is interesting though, because Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, and Pattinson go through the skylights. They come through the window glass stuff, but
Yes,
Bale
it's
and
true.
Affleck go through, like, they basically go horizontally through windows.
Yes.
Because we said, like, the shot of Bale coming down off his cape open isn't him crashing through a window. He's just going down from the top of the stairs down to the bottom of the stairs in Arkham. But he does crash through the window, again, horizontally, in the train sequence with Ra's al Ghul. And he does the same thing here in the building in Hong Kong. So, I can't remember if there's really anything else that he does in The Dark Knight Rises that crashes through the window. Again, Mike, chime in. If
Are you saying right now that Pattinson will have to go through a glass floor?
in order to do something different?
Do something different? He would have to like use the cape
maybe.
to block the fucking glass coming. I guess it's coming down, but
I can
that'd
see
be
that
different,
happening
though,
in
at
some way.
least.
He's like up above and he sees stuff going on and he sets an explosion. I guess it's not that different from him coming through the skylight because he's going through the floor onto something else. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. The closest thing I can think of is in terms of something happening in The Dark Knight Rises with Batman crashing through something. I mean, he does like kick Bane through the fucking doors, but I don't think he breaks any glass in that. So yeah, let us know, because I don't really remember him doing that. And there's a lot less Batman scenes in that one. So there's not like a lot to choose from for that. But I could be wrong. But thanks, Mike, for bringing that up.
thank you.
All right, on to the shout-outs.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining us once again, and we want to thank some of our more recent people that have joined the Patreon. And I got to start with Tita again, Sketchcraft, Kyle B, Darren B, Devin Titbelt, Renee V, and JPF. Please join, especially if you have Tit in your name. And also, we want to thank about the other supporters as well. And we have told you about our friends, and now we would like you to do us a favor.
We want you to tell all your friends about